share my screen. There we go. Okay. All right, I have to hold on one sec. There we go. We are actually streaming live on YouTube. So if I say something that's interesting or valuable, hold on one sec. Oh my goodness, we're getting a. We are actually streaming live on YouTube. Okay. So if I say something that's hold on. Interesting or valuable. Okay, so that was an interesting experience. We were streaming live on YouTube, and YouTube started. I started hearing my voice speak at me. That was a little bit odd. Clearly, YouTube's changed something. So anyway, we're good now. So what are we going to talk about? Elizabeth mentioned this is the third in a series of 3 webinars on data quality management, and this is the one I've been really excited about getting to, although I was excited about the other ones. We focused on people in the first one. Then we went to process. Now we're on technology. Give me your questions. You don't have to wait to the end. Just put them in the Q&A as questions pop into your head. I'll answer them all. We are going to focus on technology. I'm going to answer every question I possibly can. When you look at EW Solutions, since 1997, we have been building data management programs. We, as a company, we've done over 120 of these. Personally, for me, I'm at about 50 to 60 of them. So it's quite a few. We've won almost every award you can do. Personally, for me, I've done enterprise data quality about 3 times in my career, working on a fourth right now. So I've seen it. I've been there. I've gone through. I've made the mistakes, which I'll share with you. So this is my background. I'm not going to walk you through this. If you have a question that you think of later on, it's like 2 a.m. and you're thinking, wow, why didn't I ask Dr. Marco this question? If you have a question on your data quality project or your data management, shoot me an email. I left it down here at dmarco@ewsolutions.com. All right. As I mentioned, this is the third in the 3-part series. If you go to datamanagementu.com, you can go watch the other ones. They're all on our YouTube channel. So, how to start a data quality program. What am I talking about today? There are 4 key aspects I want to get into on starting it up with a focus, and these are all about technology, the importance of using a data quality tool, and kind of cutoff points of when you need to. Ensuring that your tool has full data governance and metadata management functionality, making sure your tool is utilizing artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is something I feel strongly about. For the last 7 years, we have been leveraging these technologies at some of the largest corporations and federal agencies that exist. And it is, to me, a requirement anytime you're doing a DQ implementation. Also, the importance of dashboards and detailed defect reports. We'll go through these. I'm going to show you examples from some of the bigger tools that are out there and some of the smaller too. Then I'm going to dive into data quality measuring and monitoring. And again, we'll give you some examples. Sound good? Seems like a good agenda? I think it is. So let's rock and roll. Implementing a data quality tool. So first off, if your organization is a large federal agency or a corporation that has 500 million or more of revenues, you need a data quality tool. You can't do this stuff manually because the only way you can do this stuff manually is hand coding. And I know AI kind of can help with some of that, but it's still coding, which is time consuming. And the hardest thing is you have to manage it over time. There's also no reuse in that. So to me, this is what I do. When somebody approaches me with a data quality program, what's the size of the corporation if it's a commercial account? Also, how many people? And really, when I do these, I'm probably closer to 300 million. When I start seeing 300 million or above, depending on the industry, we need a tool. You just can't do it on your own. If you're a federal agency, what of any decent size or girth, you need it. Think 400, 500 employees, that kind of size. So, what do these tools do? I figured a lot of people haven't seen them at work. We had one of our attendees, Mark, joke. Data quality technology exists, which pretty funny comment. Um, it does. And a lot of people don't even know that, and they don't even know what these tools do. So what do they do? Data quality rules creation, management, and execution. Remember I mentioned that you can check data quality if you go build a SQL script, execute it against a database structure, you can execute data quality rules. The problem is it's all hard coded in that script. So you can't reuse it, you can't manage it well, and you can't standardize it, which is critical across your enterprise. So one of the key things these tools do is rules creation, management, and scheduling the execution. Because every time you write a SQL script, then you have to put it into some kind of procedure so that it's executed at certain times. And you have to do that for every one of your tables in every one of your applications. You can see why I have these measuring sticks, these borders for when you need a tool. A typical Global 2000 corporation will have six, 700 different applications, and some are into the thousands. If you're a larger organization who's been around a while, thousands of applications. There's no way you're going to be able to just manually build all those scripts and manage them over time. It just isn't going to happen. Anyway, and believe me, earlier in my career, I have tried this and I've seen the result. Defect identification and classification. If you attended our earlier webinars, you learned a lot about this. In fact, I gave you a schematic of how I do it to start. If you didn't attend these, first off, shame on you, naughty. But you can go back and watch them. They're all on YouTube. So defect identification and classification. Not all defects are the same. If we have a problem with social security number and we're selling to individual people or we're a bank, that's a very serious error. If we have something wrong on, oh gosh, maybe an individual transaction, probably not the most severe error. So you don't want to treat all data quality errors as the same. Data profiling, this is another key thing. Data profiling is the ability to look at a set of data and to identify anomalies. For example, if it's an amount field, what's the minimum amount? What's the maximum amount? Because for many of those, you can't have amounts that are less than zero, let's say a negative amount. Let's say nulls is not allowed. Good data profiling, when it's executed, gives you all these statistics and analytics on a particular data element based on all the data governance work you did up front. That's why data governance and data quality are linked. You'll hear more about this as we go forward. Now, next, defect error logging from data stewards and system users. As much as we work very hard to, as a technologist, and that's my background, I come from technology, I started as a programmer. As much as we're pretty sharp and can identify errors in the data, we never really know the business as well as business people do. So we want to allow them to go into our system and say, hey, there's a problem with these two data elements in this set of data, whatever that may be. We want to be able to log that so then we can start looking at them and modifying our rules. Data quality workflow. You can't run all this stuff at the same time. It's not how it works. So you have to have a particular workflow for this. And again, these tools do all of what I'm talking about. Data quality monitoring, and we will talk more about this as we go forward. There's a lot of misunderstandings in the field about monitoring. So we'll hit all those. Next, executive dashboard reporting. This is something that so if you're building a data quality program within your organization, you must build executive dashboards. You have an opportunity to show the quality of data within your systems to the executives and then show how you're improving it over time. One of the hardest things in this field of data quality is keeping your project going. You must show your results, both quantitatively and qualitatively. You're saying, Dr. Marco, What metrics can I use? Go to our first webinar on this. If you were there in August, I think that was, I gave you a whole slide of about 20 of these things. Again, you can download my presentations from Data Management U. You can get all that. But the executive dashboards are critical. By the way, if that doesn't get a reaction from people, I don't know what will, because this is how you keep your program going. Anyway, thank you. Whoever gave me the heart, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Um, Defect reporting. These are more detailed reports. This is something really you would give to a system owner showing this specific row of data is a problem, this row is not, so on and so forth. Data duplication identification. For those of you who have followed my career and have read any of my books or read my articles, you will know that I am a big, I don't know if proponent's the word, I guess proponent of reducing the duplication in companies. I have voiced how big this problem is. I'll give you an example. A general rule that I've seen is, let's suppose a company has 7 petabytes of data. In my experience, you can get rid of 6 petabytes and still have all the same functionality, all the same reporting, all the same analytics, including backups. That's how bad the redundancy problem is. That's what I see when I'm working with client partners. Anyway, let's keep going. PII and PHI, identification, masking, and encryption. PII, personally identifiable information. PHI, personal health information. If this is out of control, so is your IT department and your IT environment. I'll give you an example. I was working with a client partner. We had a data quality tool implemented, and I'll probably talk more about this later on, but why not hit it now? I remember once we were scanning just SQL Server. That's it. And maybe 2 applications. When we scanned to look where PII was, we found 800% needlessly redundant. Meaning, I shouldn't say needlessly, but redundant outside of their major ERP application. So they had PII everywhere on people's personal databases. I mean, you talk about a security problem and a data privacy problem. My goodness. Any CISOs, CISOs in our audience, you know that's not going to end well. So, critical thing. Data enrichment, meaning, hey, maybe we have some data missing. Let's add that back in. That's something these tools do. Tracking data access. Who's looking at this data, especially our sensitive or top secret data? Zip code checking and a whole lot more. In fact, when we do analysis of these tools for a client, our checklist normally has about 120 different capabilities that we're looking at, because we're doing not only data quality, but metadata management and data governance. But that's coming in a latter slide. Let me keep this show on the road. So when we look at data quality tools, which tools are out there? This is a smattering of the tools that are available. I think we will spend an hour on each one of these logos, going through all of these today. Well, that would get us well into tomorrow. So we will not be doing that. But it's a dizzying array of companies. And I guarantee you, for every logo you see on your screen, there's probably another 20 companies who claim to do data quality, probably more, probably another, probably double this amount. So there's a reason why this is overwhelming to organizations. How many people really know about all these tools? Not many. And even then, how many have implemented them all? I would assume nobody. I've implemented a bunch of them, but I can't even say I've implemented half of them. I've studied all of them to some level. So it is a dizzying array. And that's why I think this course is so useful. That's why I spent some time saying, here's what the tools do, and here's what's critical, and I'm going to do more of that as we go forward. So let's continue. And by the way, if anybody has questions on anything, just let me know. All right. First topic. So I've talked about how important it is to implement one of these tools. Now, let's talk about how critical it is that you shouldn't just buy a data governance tool. Or a data quality tool. You need to buy one that has full data governance and metadata management capability. So let's talk about this. What is data governance? So we have many webinars on this topic. We'll probably be redoing them at some point because we've had them for a while. But um, data governance is all about controlling your data. It's all about ensuring that your data is organized, that you know what data exists, and here are the key things: what the data means, precise valid values, and precise definitions. We want to ensure that our data is accurate and fit for purpose. That's what data governance really does. It's critical. Metadata management gives you the who, what, when, where, how, and why of your data. And that is foundational. Anything you are doing in data management must have metadata management because that gives you the, again, the who, what, when, where, how, and why of your data. Without that, you have nothing. You do not have a data management program. What you do is you're just trying your best, putting fingers in the dam. You're just trying to stop the leakage, you're trying to stop the problems, and you're just trying to fix something in a small scale. You're not really doing anything across the enterprise. That's why this is so foundational. And to me, as a practitioner, and this is what I do. So I love doing webinars. This is a fun part. I've done over 300 keynotes and webinars over my career. I love doing this stuff. And to me, I spend almost no time prepping because it's the job I do every day. And I can tell you, it is something for me. If I'm implementing at your place, I'm going to assure that our tool has full data governance capabilities and full metadata management. Why? Because it is very expensive and complex to integrate multiple tool sets. I have had to integrate a metadata tool with a data quality tool and a data governance tool many times, especially earlier in my career when these tools were very separate. It is a nightmare. You need really top-end architects. You need to study the APIs of these tools. To me, why would I this is expensive enough to do. Why would I lead my client partner down that kind of a road where the total cost of ownership, the TCO is so high over time? So I want to get a tool that covers the needed functionality. If I'm doing data quality, data governance, and metadata management, I want it all in one tool. And by the way, plenty of those tools I showed you have that kind of capability. Plenty do. Um, Keep in mind, and this is just something I want to get to because I've heard people talk about it. A lot of the data quality tools that's their main focus. They will allow you to directly write back into an application. So they will give you the capability of, hey, we saw this rule get violated from this data. Let's automatically, keep that word in mind, write back to the application and fix it. So for those of you who read my first book on metadata management, this is called continuous loop, where we're going back in and fixing. I have done this. So you saw the list of 150 clients we've had. I've done it at two, and they were very sophisticated, and they were at a maturity that could handle that. If you have not done this before, don't make this the first thing you do in your data quality program. Make sure you know these tools inside and out, you know your systems inside and out before you start writing back. Because in my experience, most organizations won't even let you do it. It's not even a topic that I normally broach with a client partner until we mature to a particular degree, until we're level three, for those of you who've seen how we do data management maturity, till we're getting to level three, I don't want to mess with it. So just a piece of advice from the field, because think about it. If you screw that up and you write back into that application and you mess it up, that could be really bad. That could harm the company in a significant way. Most companies who do data quality don't even know that when you implement these tools, you need three environments. And really, for me, I prefer four environments. So, production, user acceptance testing, development, and then sometimes when new releases of these tools come out, I want to test the whole release, and that's going to take time. So I want even a second dev environment. And call it what you want, integration, whatever term you want. So most don't even know that. They're only running a production copy. If you're at that level of maturity, which maybe that's fine to start with, you're not ready to do right back. Some of you in our audience, I just saved your job. You are welcome. Let me continue. Learning point. I think I've hit this topic. Make sure your tool has write back capability, or make sure your tool has full metadata management and data quality functionality. All right, let me continue. Data quality tools. And again, this is me speaking. I will not implement one that doesn't have AI and machine learning. And you're going to see the things I'm going to talk about in the next slide are the art, what I call the art of the now. I am not talking about in 2 years they'll be able to do this, in 5 years, in 10 years, all that other stuff. I'm talking about right now, what we do. And when you see it, you're not going to want to purchase a tool that doesn't have this because it just makes your life easier. I believe AI and machine learning are revolutionizing data quality tool development along with metadata management, data governance. I mentioned how we were able to use this tech to identify PII at that one organization where we literally found with once we had it set up and we're reading the metadata, press a button and we're like, oh goodness, look at all that redundant PII just sitting everywhere. I mean, it would have taken us go back before we had that capability. If I go back 10 years, that would have taken hundreds and hundreds of hours to do that study. We were able to do it with the press of a button. You can't beat that. So, because what does AI do? So, first off, does it do everything for us? No, there's a ton of development to do. But it can take common tasks and partially automate them for tens of thousands of hours in cost savings, in my opinion. If you're a big company, we could probably save 10, 20, 30,000 person hours with this kind of technology. So that's why I require it at my client partner sites. So what does it do? I love from a data quality perspective, some of these tools now are actually automatically generating your data quality rules. So stay with me on this. Remember, we're buying a tool set that has data quality, data governance, and metadata management. Metadata management, who, what, when, where, how, and why. I know you'll never forget that. As we build out our business terms, again, for people who've been with us, a business term is a business concept, something like product type. So a business term like product type will be attached to, in these tools, hundreds, maybe thousands of data elements. A data element, think column in a table, field in a file. And yes, some of you still use files. I know you are. Anyway, so what we want to do is we want to run that the data quality rules. Once we have defined the valid values for that business term and attached to data elements, think about it. AI can easily now, because it has the information it needs, create, because it knows the valid values for that business term, and it knows the data element name, table, schema, application. It knows all that because you've put it in, you've scanned it. Now you can automatically generate rules for product type. Imagine if the only valid product types are 1 through 20. Pretty easy, right? I mean, I'm sure those of you who've seen how AI works, this is not that hard to do. But the time savings. I remember doing a data quality project many years ago. We had like 5 developers building SQL and trying to do it in, creating common procedures and basically building this stuff on our own. It was a nightmare and it was very, very time consuming. Anyway, automatic PII identification. What I love, a lot of the tools today, they know what PII is. They're going to look at social security number, address, gender. They're going to look at any kind of identifying concepts for the person's driver's license number, if that's held, if that's kept. First name, last name. My goodness, how do I forget those? So they've already pre-built rules for this stuff, which is really nice because then you can go, you can modify the rule or tweak it. What an advantage than building it yourself. And then authoritative data element analysis. I wish I could show you an example of this stuff, pretty cool. Most of the tools that I use have this where you can, once you've built out your business terms, you can say, hey, go look at all the different data elements. Tell me who's authoritative, which one looks the best based on format, because you also define the format we should find it in. And in my experience, it's been pretty close. So it's pretty darn good. In the future, and I promise you, this is not everything AI can do for these tools today that vendors are building. There's actually even more. If this was my data governance course, I would give you more than double of other things it does. I'm just focused on data quality. You're going to see more and more of this coming forward. I've actually had a chance to see some newer data quality tools that are just coming up in the market. They're young, they're not ready for prime time yet, but they're based with AI as as their foundation. It's pretty exciting. If you can't tell, this is the most exciting time there's ever been in the tool industry. It really is. Now, and by the way, ask me your AI questions. Don't hesitate. Let's talk about publishing data quality dashboards and detailed defect reports. So, when data quality rules are executed from a data quality tool, I've not seen one of these tools that doesn't automatically generate, if you configure it, a dashboard or a defect report. How much nicer is that? Again, I lived through those days. Any of you who've been in the field more than 7 years, you did this. You would take all the data quality rules and what didn't work, what failed, and you'd build your own dashboard. Use Power BI or something else like that to build out your dashboard. Well, guess what? We don't even have to do that anymore. Once you've built the rules in these tools, it's as simple as pressing a button, loading up the report. You may want to configure it. Maybe you want the color pattern to match your organization, whatever the case may be. So, what a benefit to having this. And you can use them strategically. So, to me, I think of data quality reporting as two flavors. Now, ice cream, which is something I love, has many flavors. I think data quality reporting can generically be put into two buckets. Number one, strategic reporting. This is reporting that has an interest to executives, something that your CDO, your CIO, your COO, your chief marketing officer, your CEO, whoever the case may be, your executive vice presidents, this is information they want to know. It's simple, it's summarized, and it gives them a directionally correct view of, are we getting better? For all the money we're spending on data quality, is it really working? So strategic, flavor one. Flavor two is detailed data defect reports. These are tactical. So they help your application owners identify the data that is defective and give them a view of how to fix it. That's what we want. So this is something that normally what we do in these defect reports, when we generate them, when we rerun our rules, we automatically send an email with a link to the report to the correct system owners. All that can be done once you've configured it automatically. So cool, so much more valuable than the manual approach. All right, learning point. This is some of the most important functionality in your data quality tool. I haven't really seen a tool that's newer, that's in the last 5 to 10 years that doesn't have this. If you're looking at a tool and it doesn't have this capability, move on. Look at other tools. They're much better than available. All right. Let's talk about, because this ties into reporting, data quality measurements. I'll get it right, and monitoring. So, when we talk about measuring data quality, it is vital to do this. So, if you're not doing quantitative and qualitative measurements in your data quality program, you're really in trouble. Quantitative, think quantity. It's something I can count. 15% of our data is in error. After 6 months of doing this program, now 12% is in error. This is something we're able to count. It's a measurement. Use in our last webinar, I presented the 10 dimensions of data quality. That should be your foundation. And that is something that I think, I hope most people follow me on LinkedIn. If you don't, go to LinkedIn, Follow me. I just posted an article on this. And these 10 data quality dimensions are critical because for the last 30 years, this industry has used 8, sometimes 6. Things have changed. And what was done in the 90s doesn't work today. There are 10. The missing ones, regulation and security. If you are serious in this industry, your jaw is on the floor saying, how is it possible we didn't have those? We didn't. They are critical. They need to be there. So follow me on LinkedIn because you'll always get my latest articles on this stuff, easy to read. So they are critical. And use those as a rubric for your data quality program, KPIs, key performance indicators, and metrics. Monitoring. So continue. So what is it? When we talk about data quality monitoring, what are we talking about? It is the continued monitoring or scanning of data quality based on the results of executing our rules and the comparison of those rules to defined error threshold. In our first presentation, I gave you a whole categorization system for this because we need to store the exceptions to the rules, meaning the errors or warnings that are coming out, and then generate the appropriate notifications. That's what we want to do. Learning point. There are people who will tell you that you can run data quality rules continuously on your application. I've done this a long time. I've never seen that as possible. I'll say that again. I've never once seen that as a real possibility. Is it possible if the organization is really small and they have unbelievable processing power? Okay, I will grant you it is possible. So I'm saying there's a chance. That's what I'm saying. However, I don't do this. I will not run them continually. I have made this mistake in my career. When I was a younger architect and less experienced, I tried this. They brought the system owners, they brought down our processes fast, and I got a pretty nasty call about it, justifiably so, because it slowed down the whole application. So when you run your data quality rules, you cannot run them constantly. You cannot even run them daily. You need to run them during off-peak hours. So normally we do Saturday morning tends to be a good time. Most people are still recovering from Friday night. Probably not a ton of people using your application. Whatever is considered off peak, we're going to run them then. I don't really like to run these more than weekly. And a lot of times monthly is just fine. Okay, let's continue. Okay, there are two approaches for running data quality rules. You can run them in stream. So again, this is when you're running the rules real time. Now, what I do, because I just got on my soapbox and told you, don't do this from the tool. But what I am a fan of is using the metadata and information we have on our data, and I should say in our business terms, and in the applications, building good error checks, good data element validation services, making sure we are constraining what the user can put in fields. This is vital, absolutely vital, because the number one thing you want to do when it comes to data quality, and we said this in the first presentation, you want to fix data quality errors at their source. If we are in a boat and the boat is taking on water, a lot of people think the first thing we have to do is bail water. No, because you're still taking on water. The first thing you need to do, plug the holes. Plug the holes. Once we plug the holes, now we can start bailing and get rid of the water. That's why we need to fix the data at its source and prevent it from happening in the future. And that's what I consider in stream. Let's constrain our screens, our processes early so that our data is better later. Number two, batch. We're just going to schedule this. I kind of walked through it. So normally when I look at data, when I build these applications, what we do is we apply measurements at 3 different levels of granularity. So the most detailed would be at the data element level. Think of that as your atomic data. It's the lowest level. And some of the dimensions of data quality that I'm looking at are completeness, consistency, reasonableness, and accuracy, along with probably any of the others. So again, for those of you who are into 10 dimensions of data quality, this is what we're looking at. Next level of granularity. So we're looking at data elements, and really all my examples have been on data element, but you also need data quality rules at the record level, where again, we're looking at some of the same things: completeness, consistency, semantic consistency. So what am I talking about at the record level? Well, think about an address. You can say the city is Chicago, which is valid. That's correct. That's a valid city. But if you put the state as Rhode Island, guess what? Rhode Island is a valid state. But when you look at the record and you're looking at a group of data, a package is the term I use. Does Chicago go with Rhode Island? Now, if one, so I am hoping there is not some Chicago, Rhode Island sitting out there that I am unaware of, um, but that is not accurate. That is faulty. That's an error. So reconcile city, state, zip, street address. That's all a record of data, an instance. And then you get into a higher level of granularity, data set. What's a data set, by the way? Because not everybody understands this. It's normally two or more tables or files. It's normally what a data set is. So we're just grouping tables together for an analytical purpose, most likely, or visualization. So a lot of times these have aggregated measures. So different kinds of errors can happen in this. I'll give you one that happened in the Department of Defense, a client partner of ours. We found that we had individual data elements that in and of themselves were not top secret. They did not have that categorization. However, if you combine them, you would know the exact location of a battalion of the Army and how it's configured. That's a huge top secret violation and a big problem. So when we're building these rules, think about the three levels of granularity. A lot of times I start at the data element level because it's the easiest. Then I'm going to rise up the ranks of granularity to the record level and to the data set level. I hope this was helpful. All right, let me keep going. I got to keep going. I have so much to talk about. So I've mentioned already that you can't really run in-stream stuff from a data quality tool. I've not seen that work. Yes, and then if you're going to run batch, data quality rules, as I like to do, you need to collect that metadata because that's what you're doing and persistently store it. Most of these tools have an internal meta model. It'll store it for you. And then incorporate the results of the measurement and monitoring, both operational and reporting frameworks, because we want to be monitoring this over time. This is critical. We need to be able to track how data quality is improving or going down over time. And it does sometimes go down. You do a new implementation. Let's say you're going to Workday. Trust me, that's going to dip your data quality. I've seen that firsthand because those are complicated implementations that don't always go as the way you want it to. All right. Data quality reporting. I got to speed this up because I want to make sure we have time for all your questions. Data quality incident tracking is a focus on training staff to recognize when data issues appear and how they're supposed to be classified. So incident tracking is really important. So what we're going to do is standardize the types of data quality issues we have. Again, I gave you a framework for this. And then we want to assign a process for reconciling these issues. Maybe it's as simple as sending out a data defect report to a system owner, and then it's on the system owners to deal with that. Maybe we meet monthly with the system owners saying, hey, we sent you a report of 200 errors. How's that going? Is that on track? Are you going to implement something? When is it scheduled? We also have to manage issue escalation procedures. I've kind of hinted at this. There are times that there are errors in your process that are so significant, we need to stop now and fix them. They're that big. I'll give you an example. A financial services client, they had a report that was going to go to the SEC. If it went out, they would have had such a significant violation that it would have appeared in the Wall Street Journal. The estimate was that negative press would have cost them 8 to 12% of their market cap. I mean, you're talking about a $1 billion entity. That cannot happen. So having proper escalation procedures when certain errors or severe errors are found, we need to have that. And then having, last but not least, a good data quality resolution workflow. We need this. All right. Data quality reporting, because I got to get into this. I keep talking about it. Let me show you some examples. All right. So another slide or two that we'll get to them. So all the activities of data quality management are reported by showing the results of those activities. We need the results to communicate the value of our data quality program, how we're meeting business goals and performance objectives. So when I start these programs, I do a baseline measurement of the data quality of the applications we are targeting. This way, we are going to go against that initial baseline to show how we're doing this successfully. I'm going to tell you, no matter how much support I get from executives at the start of an initiative, this has to be a focus. It will not take long until somebody asks, we've spent $1 million on this, we've spent $2 million on this. What is the result? It will not take long at all. So you got to get to that place fast. You're one and you can do it, by the way. So let's look at some reports. Here's a report of something that comes right out of the box at Informatica. By the way, I'm going to show you different software companies' reports, just some general ones they have in their marketing literature. I'm not endorsing nor degrading any of the vendors. I am showing you, though, some of the big people who are significant in this space. Informatica, really nice report here. It shows marital status. Again, a piece of PII if there ever was one. So cool information. Tells you how many fields are null, how many are distinct, how many are not distinct. Great, great information. All right. DV Sum. This is a smaller vendor, or a newer, I should say. Started as a data quality tool, went heavy into data governance. Really cool, where it shows you just rule counts by source and status. And it gives you by system the rules, that the readiness score of each system based on an algorithm they've built in. Nice stuff. A beautiful dashboard that somebody could use and work with. All right. This one is, oh, Calibra, of course. Customer lifetime value. This is a cool, more sophisticated report. This would be certainly an executive one, talking about, hey, what percentage of our data is accurate? What percentage is consistent? What percentage is properly conformed? These dimensions of data quality. Do you hear it ringing in your ears? I know I do. And then it gives an overall score, which is probably, it doesn't quite mathematically work out. It's not quite an average. So it'd be interesting how they actually calculate this. And then it gives you some detail under here. But an executive would probably have more of an interest here. And by the way, I could just tell you 7 data quality rules. That's really small. So this is a nice little example. Normally, we're gonna go over 100 data quality rules pretty quick. Okay, here's a report from Oval Edge, another newer vendor that does some really nice data quality work. This is a small, this is not small, this is a defect report saying that, hey, we tried to run these rules. These rules passed, but these rules failed in one way or another, meaning we should have a defect report on the other end. All right. Whew. I've talked a lot about technology, and I know you guys have questions. Put them in the Q&A, because Elizabeth's going to be coming back on in another minute or two. But let me wrap up my major concepts. In the final analysis, if you don't have if you don't have data quality software, you cannot implement data quality enterprise-wide. I've seen it. I have the scars. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. I love the feedback. You can't do it. It's just not possible because it's too negative. It's too hard. It's too laborious. One of the things I'm most proud of is we have so many implementations that are 10 years plus working at a client partner site after we've left. I'm so proud of that because building long-lasting solutions is what it's about. Building something that works for 4 months, 5 months, 12 months, that's it's not easy, but I don't really view that as bleeding edge, high-end world class. Just isn't. A good data quality tool. Remember, full metadata management capabilities, full data quality capabilities. Don't just throw something out. There are some tools that are free. Let me tell you something. My experience with free tools is you get exactly what you pay for. Think about it. And free is a four-letter word, so we don't want that word. Measure twice, buy once. Take your time. Make sure you know your requirements. If you're a Databricks, Snowflakes shop, everything's in the cloud, your tool better scan that stuff. If you're really on-prem, everything's sitting in IBM DB2, guess what? That's what you need. So with that, the hostess with the mostess is coming back on. She's going to give me, I ask Elizabeth every time we do this, every month. Give me the hard questions. Bring it on. I'm ready.
Thank you, David. And thank you so much for this amazing webinar. Definitely learned a lot with this. And we don't have any questions from our participants, but I had a question for you. So,
Awesome.
to what extent do you think that AI is capable of doing a proper data quality tool analysis? Or is it even capable? Why or why not?
Wow, is this a great question? Oh goodness. It's a pet. So I love AI. I leverage it. Elizabeth, you know this. I certainly leverage it in things I do professionally. Um, Here's the deal. You better in this field double check every one of those answers. It is if you just take what the tool spits out, you're in deep kimchi, real deep kimchi. Because it's not. So, how do these tools work? They're basically scanning the web. I don't know about you. I don't believe everything I read on the web. I've learned that lesson early in life. You need to have that discernment. You need to have the skills. Can you use one of these tools? Can you use like a Chat GPT, a Claudera, not Claude, Claudia, any of these tools to get you maybe a list of requirements? Yeah, you better go through every one of those. How does it apply to your organization? This is critical. And by the way, may I say, we have a special announcement at the end of this webinar. So Elizabeth, make sure I have at least a couple minutes at the end because we want to talk about the direction we're going for the webinars. But more on your question, more if I may. AI governance, AI using AI to help you in your job is fantastic. I love it, but I need to double check each and everything. I've seen glaring mistakes. Even if it cites something, if I ask it to analyze a complicated document, I always tell it, what page and paragraph are you getting this from? And then I'll double check it, and you'd be shocked how many times I've seen it be wrong. So while that helps me, if I have to go through, I just recently had a 40-page, wildly complicated document I had to go through for a client partner. It helped me so much, but not every citation passed the test when I read it. So that is a fantastic question. What a great one.
Thank you. Well, we have another question. Michael
Ah,
Colbert asks, what do you recommend if you need to test data quality between systems? And is that another level of granularity?
it's not necessarily a level of granularity, but Michael, first off, great question. Remember I referenced how, hey, you could do some data quality stuff on an individual system. You can hand code some SQL, fix a couple problems. You can do that, but you don't get reuse. What we want to do is cut across. What I want to do is build. Remember, I talked about building a business term? I used product type as my example. Michael, that's what I want to do. In these tools, you can build a business term and you can say, here's a precise definition, and then here's the valid values 1 through 20. Then within the tool, you can say these 100, 200, 1,000 data elements represent product type. Once you've done that, and by the way, you can also automate and use AI to identify what data elements represent that business term. That's another capability that it has that's really on the data governance side. But once you've done that, now you can automatically generate data quality rules that will run against two, three, four, five, 1,000 systems, all automatically once you've configured it correctly. And that's why I've been saying you just can't do all this manually. It's too unless you're at a small organization or if you are, then great. You can do it like that. And I've made those recommendations at smaller client partners. But if you're at a larger one, you really do need this capability. And that's why the data governance piece is so critical. If you don't get those business terms defined, then you're really losing all the power of these tools. I would say don't even move forward on them if you don't have that, if that isn't the intention. Great question. Elizabeth, do we have any more before we get into our special announcement?
We could do our special announcement. I don't see any other questions. Last call for any other questions, guys.
You know what? You can get in your question and I'll answer it at the end of this. So we have a special announcement. We've done 3 months of data quality webinars starting next month, AI governance. And we're going to continue all of 2026. Now, we enjoy these so much. Will I maybe sneak in an extra webinar on another topic? Well, probably. But we are going to do a whole year on AI governance. I can't wait. So don't miss it because each concept's going to build. We're going to hit everything you want and more. So with that, Elizabeth, we can wrap it up, I think.
Let's wrap it up.
Thank you so much, everybody. Can't wait to see you next month.
Definitely.
Thank you for the